Hey, we're live.
Are we live?
Hey, we're
Oh, this is
live.
nice.
Yeah, this is a good setup, right?
Oh, it looks
Yeah,
lovely.
it does. That looks nice.
Yeah, cool.
Hold on, let me
The
just
lighting's
adjust
nice,
this a
too.
little bit.
Hopefully people can hear us.
You go down.
Yeah, why don't you just point it down?
You have to turn. There's a little turny thing. It loosens.
This,
Yeah, got it.
You got it. Okay.
How's that?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hope people show up. If
Hi,
not-
everyone. All right, that one's great.
Yeah. So let's see if people are
Um,
available on their Sunday today.
Yeah, actually, we can share it on our end too.
Sure. Yeah. Is there
yeah.
how do I need to give you a code or?
No. I just
So, hey, Trish asked us on her show, and we were like, hell yeah.
Yeah. So here we are. We're at. These are the hosts of Dimensional Disclosure. So they've been keeping the fort and making sure it's just awesome.
It's been fun. It's been a wild ride this weekend.
Yeah. Lots of amazing speakers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Whoa.
My mind's blown. Like truly.
Yeah, for real. And they're all so different, coming from different angles of the disclosure topic, you know? And one of the most interesting things I think I saw was Robert David Steele up there with Sasha Stone answering questions. Like two guys totally, almost seemingly from different worlds. Like Robert David Steele is like an intelligence guy and a spy. He was an ex-spy. Sasha Stone, you know, he's got all of this great information on technology and is getting his hands dirty and setting up all of these tribunals and all of this different stuff to bring awareness of persecutions, of all kinds of things, and it's just really interesting.
Yeah,
you know?
and their dynamic is kind of fun to watch
So
too.
fun.
Oh,
Because
yeah, that
Sasha
was-
Stone
yeah,
is
that
like,
was
you know,
hilarious.
he's, you know, this very well put together guy, you know, and then you have Robert David Steele, who could not be more like
He's just
get
tough and,
harsh in
yeah.
a way. Like he's just a tough dude. He reminds me of my dad. I kind of love the guy. He's great, and man, just so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, their dynamic is definitely fun to watch. And I mean, there's been so many speakers here. Do you guys have any favorites so far? I mean, or just all of them have such a wealth of information and knowledge.
Man, yeah, it's hard to
crazy.
say.
It really is. It really is. Sasha's presentation.
It took me off guard.
Yeah. You know.
You know, I'm not sure what his understandings are on transhumanism, right? Like, I didn't really look into that, but just his spirit of trying to do something about the things that are going on was just so inspiring to me. And like, it was great that he came out. Like, he was telling me, like, backstage, he's so used to organizing these things himself, and it was a real treat for him to get out here and actually speak in front of people. And yeah, it was great. You should look into him if you haven't.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and he has a different perspective from a lot of things. He comes from a different background. He really is focusing more on taking action, not just like talking about things, you know. So all the organizations and everything else that he started has really changed so much in the world, especially related to human trafficking.
Yeah, and you know, and that's where Robert David Steele came in. You know, Robert David Steele's background, his understanding of intelligence, spying, and the human trafficking thing. He's, you know, you may not like, it's sort of like, you know, in a way, you know, a very sensitive topic is President Trump, for instance, right? A lot of people don't like how he communicates, and fair enough, but, you know, you really have to judge a person by their actions, not just how they come across, you know, like
Exactly.
we have to be bigger than to just judge someone by how they are. Now, yeah, it's something that someone needs to work on if they're not doing well at it, but with Robert David Steele, he's kind of the same. He's a little bit harsh in his delivery, but then if you look at what he does, he's on these panels to end human trafficking and bring awareness to children being like trafficked and or pedophilia against children. He's just got a heart of gold, like when you really look at it, you know. So
Yeah.
He's going after the hard stuff.
he really
Yeah, he is.
is. Like, no one wants to talk about this stuff, and he's taking like, tons of heat for it, you know.
Yeah, and his background is what makes him able to be able to talk about a lot of these things. You know, he's not coming from a standpoint of researcher or you know, experiencer. I mean, he really is like was doing all of this stuff. You
It's
know.
a completely different, unique perspective.
Yeah.
He's been in the thick of it.
Yeah, and we were talking to him, you know, for our show that we're going to be making with everybody about. I'll just use the term bogus banners.
Yeah, we
Instead
can't
of the
say the other
F word, you know, and he even said, because we were like, what's your understanding of these? He's like, I even created one, you know, a long time ago, you know, and how this, you know, it wasn't like a shooting or anything, but he helped design one that was actually playing out, and he was explaining how they do this, why they do this, and it was just like, wow, you know, coming from someone who actually has personal experience with this stuff is just really, really great.
That's unique. And I mean, that's what's so interesting about this conference is you have different experiencers here. You have people involved in secret space programs. You have people that were ex-spies. You have James Gilliland meeting friggin' Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You know, if you're interested in one of these topics, you're gonna like Dimensions of Disclosure. You know.
Absolutely.
Hey, and you've been in the audience a lot, right? And so Trish, like, what for you? What was like the most interesting thing that you've seen?
Oh man, I really liked David Lindmer's Sanitized report.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's fascinating just how he got to where he is right now. And he has a lot of information about these things called the Copper Scrolls, which I find fascinating. Like I want to definitely dive more into my own
Interesting.
research into it because it's something I've never heard of.
I've never heard of it either. That's
Yeah.
why I was like on stage and I was reading it, and you know, I was like tired, slightly, like just I kept saying like Cooper, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is Copper.
Tablets or whatever, but what the
like
hell are
Tibetan
these
Book of the Dead. Like you
Yeah,
can't
all
all
right,
these
exactly.
like classic
Yeah,
like sources. Right?
it's out of copper.
No,
Isn't that a bad idea? Aren't they? I mean,
maybe.
the more I
know.
think about this, the more confused I am.
I know, me too. Sorry, guys.
Copper.
I'm actually just sharing this link on Twitter, Facebook, everything else to let our fans know. So that's what
Yeah.
I was doing on my phone. So I've sent it out to our Facebook pages and-
Awesome.
and Twitter.
Maybe we'll
so
see a
we
spike
should
here.
get a little bit more of a spike. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So, you guys have an amazing show.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank
such
you.
an awesome following. You guys cover all the content.
Yeah.
All the topics. Like, is there anything you won't cover, or that you just haven't gotten a chance
I
to?
mean,
Like, what?
now that we have edgeofwonder.tv,
Yeah.
there really isn't a thing we won't cover. Happy to cover anything. The thing that we Ben and I, you know, want to be careful of is targeting individuals, I think. And what I mean by that is like going after specific people, you know, like
Well, if
we're not
it's-
trying to cause a fight, right?
Right.
But if it's somebody
Right.
like Hillary Clinton or something and she's
Yeah.
gone after her, you know, like
whatever. But if,
That's
okay,
different,
Well, I
right?
think if it affects a global situation, you know, something that somebody is doing that is affecting the entire world, like Obama, these kinds of things, you know, that we can actually provide evidence for, proof that this is going on. That's one thing. But you know, we're not going to somebody doing something that's not related to a global sphere. We really don't like calling.
we want to point out the things that are happening in society, not
Yeah.
necessarily people.
individual people.
Yeah, not only
Yeah.
for everyone's safety, but also because we're not trying to start fights with people.
Well,
This
and
isn't
all-
about that. We
It's
want to wake
about
people up.
spreading information.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also, you know, people can change. Just because someone is bad right now, you know, maybe
Yeah.
they're being blackmailed, maybe they're being forced, maybe they're being bribed or something. You
And
know?
you've got to have that
yeah,
understanding
and,
too.
and maybe they'll have a change of heart, you know, and that's what we really, really hope for. So, you know, obviously in the bigger scheme of things, we know. I mean, we can pretty much say now Hillary Clinton's not going to change. You know, we hope that she would. And
I used to hope she would.
I don't think so. So
I don't
you know,
know.
Not
there's,
looking good.
yeah, I don't think so either. It's not looking good, right? So I think in all of these situations, you know, that we kind of have to weigh things out. And it's also we'll call out families as a whole, like the Rothschilds, right? But we don't
They
call
need
out
to be called out.
exactly.
That's a necessary-
That's necessary.
necessary.
Yeah. You know, but just because you're a Collins, Rothschild, all these things doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad person either. You know, but so it really depends on what someone is doing. What they're involved with, who they're involved with, where their money is
Well,
going.
what are you? Again, it comes down to like, what are you doing right now? Like, it's not about your past. Like, what are you doing right now? If you're striving to make amends for your past and trying to expose evil things that are going on in the world, then you're okay in my book.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're trying to do here at
Exactly.
Dimensions. I mean,
Right.
and all these conferences, like we met at,
Thank you.
Fancy.
yeah, we met at USETI originally this past
Yeah.
summer, and you guys are doing some awesome stuff out there, getting content,
It was
talking
fun.
about the mountain and all that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that was
incredible, right?
interesting because you didn't know what you were working. You were volunteering in your study.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was doing interviews. I was volunteering. I was just doing a whole gamut of things. So.
Yeah, and it was interesting because you didn't know of us before, so it was kind of cool actually, just kind of talking to you because you didn't have any preconceived notions of who you were or what we were doing or anything.
Yeah, you were just like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah.
I've heard of like your channel, but at that time I didn't watch anything.
Sure, yeah.
You know, but I love your work. Like I have
Thank
seen
you.
more of it
Oh,
now. I'm
that's
like,
alright.
this is good.
Thanks.
Like you guys produce it really well. Like I'm a fan. Like it's really
Hey,
well
thank
done.
you.
You know.
Yeah, and then I mean you had Corey on your show too, talking about the moon.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
That was a
awesome.
really cool
That's awesome.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and there's good. We did another interview this past weekend being here at this conference. So
Awesome.
there's just more. It's just gonna unfold and expand naturally. You know, it's gonna be a good time.
I think so too. I think
Yeah.
so too. I think it'll be really good. So.
Yeah. Is there anyone here you guys would love to interview that you haven't had a chance yet? Or
Well, actually,
gosh.
see, we have
There's
a,
so many good
we have-
people here.
Yeah, we have a separate team, just a couple of editors that are going through and interviewing all of the people we've
producer.
never interviewed
Yes.
before.
So what
right
you know,
now.
because what we realize is that being here and hosting this event is so hard. It's kinda
Excuse
loud.
us.
But it's so hard for us to.
Oh. No, keep going, guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
anyway.
whatever.
Okay, so it's so hard for us to do the sit-down interviews one-on-one with people, you know, 'cause it takes a lot of time, a lot of planning and everything. So what we decided to do a little bit different this time, since Rob and I can't be there permanently, is just do more
Documentary
of a
style.
documentary style.
nice.
So we're asking the same questions to all of the speakers, you know, and we're going to compile their answers and present it in the documentary. Rob and I will also be in it, probably at the beginning, kind of talking about what's going on, probably in the middle, and then at the end, kind of, you know, wrapping everything up. We'll have narration through it, so it'll be like more like a TV presentation of a documentary.
I'm gonna be wearing a beige trench coat and come out like Robert Stack with the Unsolved Mysteries music in the background.
Today on
Yeah.
Edge Wonder. Yeah. But I mean, the topics are a little dark, and we kind of realized that afterwards. Like, man, we chose some dark topics, but you know, we want to expose everything, and our style is, no matter how dark it gets, always focus on the positive at the end.
And you're bringing it to light. It's
Yes.
not like it's staying there. Right? 'Cause
Yes.
You're exposing it. You're
And-
showing that it's here.
Yeah.
What's actually going on in this society. You know, I mean,
Exactly.
there's a good turn to it. You know, more positive.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and we hate the fear porn stuff. You know, we're shining a light on this, but we're not like.
I even think that phrase is a stick to beat people from coming forward with truthful information. It's like, I can understand if you're writing headlines for headlines' sake, or if you're a cleaning lady and you're going through the courtyard with a really loud cart. Wow. Anyways,
Cleaning
you know, I can
lady.
understand that, but it's really important for this information to get out, and whether, you know, like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing this to get clicks or to write headlines or whatever, and I can see how that could be construed that way, but when you're just an honest dude trying to get information out or trying to educate people, we cannot consider that stuff fear porn, and we have to be very careful about allowing those words to be used to describe that kind of thing.
Well,
because-
and there's two different ways. You know, you can tell it the way, oh, the world is going to end, and it's like you're in trouble. The world's going to end. You know, and
you can just go to Union Square
it's
in
like-
New York City if you want to see that.
yeah, and it's like okay,
For
For
you
real
know,
though,
Yeah,
that's exactly how it is.
Yeah,
Those
you know,
signs, you know.
And it's like, okay, granted, you know, we all know something is going to happen, truthfully, but it's not like the world is going to end. You know, we believe there's a beginning. It's going to be a beginning of something. You know,
It's
Yeah.
transition into
transition.
more.
Yeah, and we're trying to help
Absolutely.
the people who are still lost in that darkness
Yeah.
to understand that, you know, and that's why we're all here doing what we're doing,
Yeah.
is to, hey, these people are still in darkness, like, come back into the light, you know, like, we're all original light beings anyway, so come back here, you know, so whatever anything does happen, we will all go there, you know, but, you know, there's some people that just are dead set in being in the dark no matter what, you know.
But it's
and that's
ultimately up
just
to
it.
each individual
It is.
person.
It's
you know,
all about
we can
choice.
shine the flashlight, like, look, this is something cool over here.
They have
but
to
if
choose to
they
walk
don't turn
there.
their head. You know, that's a part of the reason why my channel is called 90-degree turns. One
Yeah.
aspect is that to go to another dimension, you take a 90-degree turn to get there. And then the other part is if you're at point A and you want to get to point B, you have to turn your head to see that there is another option
Yeah,
there. So you
exactly.
have to make that turn, you know? So that's what we're trying to do, guide people towards knowledge and information, you know? So you guys have been in mainstream media lately.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
I think it's
mainstream.
hilarious.
That was the weirdest
The
thing.
fact that we would get, I mean, first of all, the entire thing was completely inaccurate.
Yeah.
Which does not surprise me one bit.
The
because
numbers were wrong, like the information was wrong.
how
like,
it all works
this-
is
yeah,
wrong.
it was
the
just
the
like-
fact that they were targeting and being low enough to target Falun Dafa and all of that, which is just a peaceful meditation practice that's getting persecuted horribly in China. Like, when I'm telling you, when the data starts coming out about what these people were facing, everyone's going to have to come to terms with how they've been reporting on this, and I don't think they're ready for it. And I'm not talking about the good reports that are exposing this. I'm talking about NBC, MSNBC, New York Times, CNN. Yes, it's like this. This is extremely important right now.
Well, aside from just reporting on it inaccurately or accurately, it's more like what role did they play? You know,
Right, exactly.
There's mainstream media. They have a, you know, and this is the problem. They refuse to report on what's really going on. They've been ignoring this for 20 years now. So this grassroots movement was the only way to get the word out, because it's like, hey, you guys are the mainstream media. It's your job, your responsibility to get this out. You're not getting it out.
Yeah, why should ordinary people have to quit their jobs to create a media that does that?
And then they get criticized for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you just did your job, we wouldn't have to do all
Yeah,
this.
it is
right?
ridiculous. Absolutely. And the fact that NBC has like $1 billion deal with China, and they're saying all of these positive things about China, and then pointing to the group that they've been persecuting most over the last 20 years. So
just
who told them really to report like
Yeah,
that? I mean, everybody, come on, follow the money.
And to be
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Because For
Exactly.
any
Follow the
topic,
money.
start following the
Look at-
trails of money. Where is it going? Who's using
Money
it? How they're using
and
it.
people's names, and
That's
the
it.
fact that
That's it.
Collins wrote that article against us.
Yeah,
That's
it's
one of the
just
13
weird.
family names. I'm not saying everyone who's a Collins is in this camp, but it is telling that they used that person to write a hit piece on those, and to bring us in and then make it seem like David Wilcock like is Edge of Wonder.
And
Like, he had him
you
on
know,
like three times.
They just took this quote. You know, he doesn't explain at the beginning how this was just kind of an understanding that he was told, that he doesn't really necessarily know if this is true or not. He's like, this is some of the things I heard. They left that part out. It goes right into like the 9/11 stuff, and it's just like, oh my gosh, out of everything, you know, they looked for the craziest part. They didn't explain anything. They didn't say Edge of Wonder. They didn't say David Wilcock, and then they just like went on this rant on like 9/11 and all this conspiracy stuff, and it's just like, hey, you know, that's not necessarily what we believe. We're just allowing people a platform to say what they heard, what they think.
Well, you know, it was really funny actually. So, you guys, my background is I was a creative director and a brand manager before I started Edge of Wonder with Ben at the Epoch Times, and this is why a lot of people are confused, and especially with that initial report. And you know, several months after, you know, actually giving up my duties as a brand manager there took a lot of time. And I still have relationships with some of my friends. Some of my dear friends work at that media company, and just because I have friends there, that doesn't mean there's a connection between Edge of Wonder and that media company. They're just doing their thing. Now, one of the things that the report said was that in my Twitter account, someone asked me about Epoch Times, and I said that I was still doing branding work for them. You have to understand that that media group, Epoch Times, is a part of a larger media group. Epoch Media Group owns Epoch Times. Epoch Media Group also owns NTD. It's almost like you'd say News Corp owns Wall Street Journal and New York Post. You would never say Wall Street Journal and New York Post are the same thing. You would never do that. It's actually ridiculous because the New York Post is wild the way they report on stuff. So I'm working with Epoch Media Group at the time while this transition is going on and still helping them with their brand. Yeah, I still do some branding. It's very casual conversation over Twitter, right? So they blow this out of proportion and say Edge of Wonders or Counts is still working for a time.
They didn't show the whole tweet.
No, and they show the
to it
tweet or any of the
anything.
context or
It's just-
anything
they
like
just
that.
say
They
it, right?
they just slander. They have no moves, so they just try to do that. And you know, this is the world we live in. And then you have Rachel Maddow up there making a big stink about all of these things, and she knows precisely dick about all of this stuff. Excuse my language, but she does.
Well, I'm sure they do, and they just had an agenda,
They,
right?
Well-
they can't talk about what they
Yeah,
have
no,
certain
it's true,
requirements.
but
Yeah.
that she could let herself even get to the point where she would talk about that in a way that she believes.
I think she's
Way
she's,
gone.
She's,
Like, it's
she's
like-
past the threshold, and the ship has sailed. She's not turning back.
Whoa! I
You
mean,
know?
geez.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
for
is
sure.
just like, I would love to just sit down and talk to her and destroy her one-on-one. Like, really.
You mean have a
No.
mature conversation?
It would be.
Martial arts.
No, I don't need to. I can just have a conversation with her, and by the end of it, she'd probably be like, you know, MK
Well,
Ultra.
And also to make a really clear point, like you brought up China, we're not criticizing the Chinese people at all. In fact, it's the opposite. We're really
No,
trying
and
to
this is
help
important for the Chinese people to understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all about the Chinese
No,
government
the
regime.
the
The system
CCP,
that's
Yeah, the
the
CCP.
Chinese Communist Party, is not China, and what they do is not China or the Chinese people. It has no reflection on them, and that is something that they've been trying to instill into the hearts of the Chinese people.
Ever since their inception.
Yeah.
I mean, their whole slogan is "There's no China without the CCP."
Which
Oh,
is,
wow.
which
That
is,
is
I'm
a-
sorry,
Wow.
but there's
Yeah.
5,000 years of evidence that that is not the case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's interesting because we've had people from China here at this conference, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
talking about their censorship, and we think our censorship is, oh man, it's
Oh,
Google,
China's
Google's
next
acting
level.
up.
Wait,
This
next
is
level.
a whole nother
Yeah.
tier where
No, they cannot get through
yeah,
to the
there's
outside
no
world.
Google. They literally don't have any of the things that we take for granted here. Even just our Google searches are skewed,
Yeah.
but at least we have Google.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. We
they-
have
yeah.
Facebook.
They're-
and
they call
can't
it-
get information.
They even call it the Great Firewall of China.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it the Great Firewall of China, and
Wow.
you have to have software like FreeGate or whatever to
Yeah,
break through
FreeGate,
all of
yeah.
that and to actually get outside. And this is what people do. This is what it's a
Well,
different life over there. It's a life
yeah.
of fear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we use VPN services here usually to like hide what we're doing and
Yeah.
whatever research, like even when we're researching stuff, right?
Same here.
But with China, they have
you
to
have to.
actually use it to just get information into the outside world, and it's like, I mean, that's a whole different level. Of using
And
just
VPN.
mind-blowing.
all of their media is state controlled.
Every single thing.
Like
Yeah.
actual
And it's
mouthpieces of the Chinese Communist Party. Like it's
Yeah.
a different level crazy. Like at least here, there are other options, or you don't have to watch it. We have
There's
like
choices.
Yeah, like you
There's
can
still
find
choices.
Edge of Wonder.
Yeah.
You can find
Yeah.
people, Robert David Steele. Like
Even
you
though we're all
can.
being
It's your
censored,
choice.
You can still.
Yeah.
find
We still
it.
exist
we still
somewhere
exist,
on
yeah.
the internet.
Right.
I mean, but
Yeah.
if you look at
And-
just classic communist parties, that's what happened. Like
Exactly.
my family, they grew up in
Poland,
in
you were
Poland,
telling me,
yeah,
right?
and so they had the whole communist
Of
rule. And they had
course.
some
Exactly.
Russian. They had one TV channel, and it was one channel that had all the programming on it. It was very, very strict. They don't want you to think out of the box. I mean,
No.
that's the whole point of it. It's keep you in this little box that you will never see that there's even a door.
Exactly.
You know, but good thing we live in these times with your internet now. I mean,
Yeah.
we can get information. There's ways around it.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
but goodness, it's
Well,
still really
if
difficult.
if we tried to do this show like Edge of Wonder inside China, we would actually be arrested in China.
And
Oh,
probably
no doubt.
and
You guys
tortured.
would not,
Not kidding.
see the light of day.
I mean,
Like, you guys-
I mean, if we were like Caucasians, like
No,
white
but-
people doing it, it would be a little different. But I mean,
No, they would kick
The
us
would
out.
kick us
I know,
out.
the
And they would
government
arrest
banish
us
you
and
from
kick
the-
us out.
No,
you
they would
would
kick
be-
us out. But
yeah.
I mean, but if we were Chinese or something doing this in China, we would
Oh.
instantly be arrested and thrown in prison, and you would not hear from us.
Well, I mean, we talk about what's going on in China very truthfully about all of that stuff,
And this is another reason why we do support what Trump is doing. Trump understands this, and it's happening. It's starting to happen in our country. The level of censorship is just unbelievable. Whether you agree with it or not, I think we all can agree that this censorship is getting out of hand because, it's a form of control. And
follow the money.
yeah,
Like she said, if you start looking at Facebook, if you start looking at Twitter, you start looking at all of these media organizations and you track back who's funding them, who owns them, all of that stuff, you find very interesting things. Do that work.
a lot of hands in different places.
Very
But that's
much
with
so.
almost everything, not just media. You have
No, it's true.
the CDC, the FDA,
The corporations,
and all the
I mean-
corporations. Like everyone has their hands in each other's pockets.
It's true.
Like
so
you know,
true.
yeah. But definitely, don't just take our word for it.
Yeah.
Start diving in and like doing little bits of deep like information research. To find these connections. I mean, because we can be here as a resource, but ultimately, like, you have to find out: is this true for you? Does this resonate with you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we're not like gods here.
It's
We're just sharing perspectives.
Literally,
Yeah.
the most
Exactly.
important message.
Yeah, and that's why we always encourage everyone to do their own research because you're not going to really find out,
Well, you need to wake up for yourself.
Yeah.
Like you can listen.
Yeah.
Don't stop listening to us. Stop listening to talking heads on a screen tell you stuff, and go find out for yourself. And don't stop. Don't stop. Dig. And be wisely skeptical of things. You know, don't
It's
just
healthy.
accept the mainstream line on things and look into it.
Exactly.
All kinds of
Absolutely.
subjects. You start finding really weird things, and
Yeah.
everything's connected. It's messed
Yeah,
up.
go wherever what resonates with you, and then just all the dots will connect. It'll blow your mind. So I think
Yeah.
people are talking in here. Let's see what they're saying. Do your own research. Okay, thank you. Oh no,
Oh, they
it
just
disappeared. Ah, that's
disappeared.
okay. Well, guys, I really loved having you on here.
Yeah, it was
I mean, you
great.
guys are
Awesome.
doing so good with this conference here.
Trish.
Your content's just fire. All the fire
keep
emojis.
up the good work yourself. It's great that you
Yeah.
do this, that you came out here, and that you're publishing stuff all the time. You know, we were just talking about how you can kind of make more content for your
Yeah.
channel to get more eyes on it. I really
Yeah.
hope you can do that, and I hope
I appreciate
yeah.
that. Yeah, I'd love to just continue growing the channel and just truly just getting all this information out there. I mean, we're all here as a team. There's no one there's no
That's
hierarchy
right.
here. We're all just working together to get
That's
this
for
truth
sure.
out. You
Absolutely.
know, so I don't know if there's any questions here. Okay, nice.
Oh wow! Someone says
Thank
better
you.
not. It is indeed two of the great eye openers of our time.
Yeah,
We're all
I
just
agree.
staring
Yeah,
at the
we're-
screen
we're
like
trying-
this,
squinting
trying to
to
read
see
those
what it
comments.
says.
It's like
You know, if you missed it, you can replay it. Don't worry. When we end it, you'll be able to see it again. Yeah, but guys, definitely check out. If you all don't know about Edge of Wonder, check their stuff out.
Hey, thanks.
Amazing content across all social media platforms. They're really great. Yeah, I really enjoyed talking with you
Yeah,
guys
you
here.
too,
We'll see each
Trish.
other around.
Yeah,
so,
thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank
thanks
you.
so much. It was great.
All right, you guys, have
All right.
fun.
See you guys. We'll
Take
see
it
you
easy.
around.
Bye.
All right.